Off the top of your head. Soft top, hard shoulder.
Okay, soft top, hard shoulder starts with the credits. Credits roll. Chris Rea song music starts open. Soft top, hard shoulder. You know the one?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see like a road coming all across the screen, and the music starts playing, introduces Peter Capaldi and stuff, and it gives you a good sense that you're going somewhere. The movie opens up and it's a book, an old photo album, and the character is given a voiceover, and the character Gavin Bellini is given a voiceover, and he's saying, "Father came from Italy," and he's telling a story about how his granddad left Italy to go to the New World.
He wasn't in America. He was in Scotland. He was con. And
we then learn about how they made an ice cream business, and the uncles and the father, cousin, what was it, Uncle Antonio, Uncle Salvatore. He's we actually thought he went to America. Turns out he was in prison, kind of thing. And we can see the whole family. And then he shows himself as a little baby, and he's like, "And there's me." He's giving a voiceover, and he's makes himself out to be a big shot. He says, "My family didn't understand me because I was an artist, and I was destined for bigger things, bigger than them."
I don't think they knew what to make of me, because I was an artist, and they knew nothing about art.
Starts off with him, and it opens up, and it's in the present day, and it's in the 90s in London, and he's walking down. He's on his way to a business meeting. He's got his portfolio under his arm, and he gets into the business meeting. Pumpkin books. And he walks in and he says, "Pumpkin books," and he says, "Right, yeah, right in the hall." And he goes in and he starts his meeting, and he's opening his book, and he's showing his art off to this woman who's not impressed, and he's talking about magic shoes. He's like, "Magic shoes? There's no magic shoe." The old woman cackled as she wrapped her hands around the axe handle, raised the axe into the air, then wham!
Wham! Sorry, the foot's off! At last, he's got the magic shoe. The old woman's out, so what he does next is he destroys the evidence. He boils the foot in a pot and he eats it.
And she's looking shocked and like, "Well, who is this guy?" And he's on his act, and then she interrupts him and says, "Mr. Bellini." And then she goes into her spiel. And you know where we come from? We started with and she walks over this like hedgehog figure, and he's rolling his eyes in the background like, "Fuck, she's not listening to me." And she goes over, and she sees this raccoon or something, and she's Miss Pricklywinkle. She's Miss Pricklywinkle, the hedgehog tails. And she starts telling him about hedgehog tails, and he's like, yeah, whatever. What about me? What about Mark? He doesn't say it out loud. And she turns to him and she says, "Your stuff is a little bit too
perverse."
Leaves, knows he doesn't have the job, walks out. First thing he sees is someone shaking a little hand carton, and they're asking for money for animals. Money for animals, money for animals. And he's just got turned down by Miss Pricklywinkle, the fucking hedgehog lady. And he's walking past her and says, "Fuck you, fuck off."
Oh, animal rights.
Fuck off.
It cuts to him in his apartment, and he's still looking for something. He needs some reassurances. He lives with this guy, he's called John, and the two of them, he's a fussy guy, likes to clean up all the porridge and stuff. And then this guy, Gavin, says, he's having his porridge, and his roommate comes in, he's like, "What the fuck is this? You spilled all the porridge." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about it." And my roommate says, "Oh, actually, I don't want to say it loud, but you owe us some rent money." And Gavin's like, "Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm sorry about rent." And the mate's like, "You know what, it's alright, but I really need something." So he's starting to feel a pinch. And then John says, "Well, I'll take you to dinner anyway." Takes him out to a restaurant, local cappuccino restaurant, Italian restaurant, and they order cappuccinos, and Gavin's drinking a cappuccino, and he says, "Oh, they fuck, they remember me here," and John says, "Well, they're not going to remember you," and he says, "No, Italians don't forget."
Italians are like elephants. They never forget, and they run to fat.
His Uncle Salvatore appears. He was in London because they had the ice cream awards last night. They haven't won a wafer in 4 years. So the uncle sits down. The guy John leaves, and it leaves Gavin and Salvatore together. And Salvatore says, "Your mother's been missing you. It's your daddy's 60th birthday tomorrow. You need to go to Scotland and see him. You need to go to Glasgow and see your daddy. It's his birthday tomorrow." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, all the action's happening in London. I need to be here. This is where the action's. I need to be here." Salvatore's like, "You know what? All right, fair enough. But guess what? Your daddy's ice cream business, the family's ice cream business. Well, we're going to divide all the money, and it's up to me to divide it. And we're not quite sure about you. You've been missing in London for all these years. You've not been part of the family. We're not quite sure about you. If you don't show up at this birthday party for your daddy's 60th tomorrow, I'm going to cut you out of the will. What do you think of that? And he's like, oh fuck, I need to be there.
I'm the oldest now, the couple. Whatever I say goes. Sunday, 7:30 p.m. on the dot. Another second, I guarantee you nothing.
He goes into his room that night, has a wee smoke and a wee contemplation, wakes up in the morning, goes outside and sees his old beat up car, Crazy Horse. He's like looking at it like, I need to go to Scotland, I need to go to Glasgow, I need to be at that meeting for my dad's 60th birthday, I need to be there. So he brushes off the big sheet, the big dirty bogging sheet of Crazy Horse, and it's like a little convertible blue car, soft top, of course. His friend John comes out and says, oh, that's a real nice effort there, cleans it all up, and then cut to Gavin, he's driving on the road, he's heading up to Scotland.
Come on, rock and roll! Yeah! Yes!
And he's a cunt, so he's driving in the middle lane of the road. He's driving all up there, in the middle lane of the road, getting stuck in traffic, all that stuff. And because he's driving in the middle lane, he's not quite in the fast lane, he's not in slow, and he's in the middle lane, but he's going slow. And all these cars are appearing, and they're fucking having, they don't want to undertake, they don't want to overtake, but they have to, so they're pumping at him and braking it. He doesn't give a fuck. Big fucking rig passing him, he's like, Yorkie rig, with the name Yorkie on it. And he's all like, ah, right, big money, we're all mates and all that. And the fucking guy's like, ah, fuck you. So anyway, he continues driving, pulls off into a restroom after nearly having an accident, pulls off to the side of the road, and he's freaking out, having a smoke at the side of the road. And then he hears a word outside it. Here's someone outside him, and she says, "Oh."
Oh.
Comes around, and it's Yvonne. And Yvonne's holding a sign that says Glass G. What's missing is the O and the W, the glass go. Oh. He's like, what? He's like, oh, my pen ran out. She's heading to Glasgow, the exact same place he's going, but then he says to her, actually, I'm just heading up the road, and my stop's the next stop, so I would help you out and all. And she's like, oh no, don't worry about it, just keep going. And gives her a pen, she fills out her sign Glasgow, and he gets his pen, no, he doesn't get his pen back, gets in his car, starts the engine up, and he goes, oh wait, she turns around thinking she's getting a lift, and he says,
sorry, have you got my pen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then he drives off, and he continues, and he goes to the next service booth because he's hungry and needs to eat. And this is funny, I like this bit. He walks in to these road stops in the UK we've got over there, and they're like, you park the motorway and you cross the bridge and you get in, you get a restaurant, and in the 90s it was a shitey restaurant, super expensive food, and it cuts to Gavin and he's ordering sausage and chips, and they get this wee lassie there at the counter, and she's like, that'll be £7.20. He's like,
£7.20 for... Man, by the time you get it, it's freezing.
Mr. Young! Mr. Young!
She's like, rolls her eyes and calls for Mr. Young, her supervisor. Mr. Young! Mr. Young! And then Mr. Young appears, he's like 14 years old. And he says to Gavin, oh, I'm sorry, mate, but that's our prices. You know, I thought you would have seen that on the way in. And he's like, alright, whatever. Sits down with sausage and eggs and chips. Sausage and chips. Eats his sausage and chips, but across the room he sees Yvonne. And she's eating her lunch as well. And he's like, oh fuck, thank God she's not seen me. But she might have seen me. So I'm trapped. I might have to go over. Actually, my car didn't start. That's how I pulled in here. A bit of car trouble. Just remember that. So he's got car trouble, and he remembered that Yvonne helped start his other car when he pulled off with the Glasgow sign. Also didn't mention that. So he's like, okay, Yvonne could get my car started, and I could just dump her or whatever. But she's going to help me out. So he walks over there pretending that, oh, by the way, I'm going to Glasgow. You want to come with me? How convenient. This is kismet. You know, coincidence, serendipity. Let's go. And then they go into his car, and he's expecting the engine not to turn. And he turns the engine and it starts. He's like, fuck. Whilst Gavin was eating his sausage and chips, and he went over to meet Yvonne, he left his wallet behind. Fucking left his wallet. So he gets to the petrol station, he's about to pay for it, and then he's about to pay for the petrol, and then Yvonne says, don't worry, I've got this one. Takes out her wallet. Yvonne pays for the petrol, but he's to that point he doesn't realise his wallet's missing because Yvonne paid. So they continue further up the road. If he realised his wallet was missing, then he could have turned around the 10 miles and got his wallet, but he didn't. So he kept going. And what happened then? Oh, yes. So he's in the car driving, and he's like, hey Yvonne, he's driving, he's like, you want to reach in my back pocket and get my smokes? And she's like, alright, gives him the smokes. He's like, you want to get my lighter? And he's reaching for the lighter. She's like, oh, your lighter's not in there. He's like, what do you mean fucking? And then he pulls over the car and he searches through the car because he's in his pocket with his lighter and his wallet. And they're not there, and he's throwing it around fucking clothes and shit. And she's like, you know what you could do? You could call your uncle and have him wire you some money at the nearest bank, and we can go to that place and we can pick up whatever money you can get us wherever we need to go. So he's like, good idea.
It's worth a try.
And he arrives at the bank and it's closed. And he's banging on the doors and he's like, what does he say? He's banging on the doors and he's like, it's a shekel. And he's like, it's like a shekel for them.
It's not open enough when they want your money. Oh yes, open then. Staff banging their heads off the counters in an orgy of openness when there's a shekel in it for them. But are they open when you need them? Are they? Fuck.
And he's in the phone to his uncle again, Uncle Salvatore, and he's like, I need some money, blah blah blah. Uncle's like, no, I can't fucking help you. So he hangs up and he walks out of the phone booth and realises he's stepped on a credit card attached to some chewing gum. It's a pour on his feet. It's a MasterCard. And cut to him and Yvonne, they're in a restaurant and he's like looking at the card thinking, yeah, how can I fucking just cheat this guy? Name of the credit card was Eddie Chudowski. And he's like, Chudowski, and they're trying to work out who is this guy, where is he? They try to find his name in a phone book, give him a call. They go to his trailer and they find out that Eddie Chudowski used to work with a guy called Mr. Cheese. They were a travelling circus. They would do balloons and dog tricks. Him and Mr. Cheese, Eddie Chudowski. And he tells him a story, he eats his sandwiches, and it's one of those old guys who just wants company. Eddie then gives Yvonne 50 quid. He's like, here, take this. But by that point, Gavin's already left. He's outside waiting. And Yvonne comes out and she's like, oh, Gavin, wait, Eddie gave us... He's like, oh, fuck, I don't give a fuck. I've wasted our goddamn time here. You know, I could have just used that credit card. I could have just swindled this guy and took all his money. They agree to go their separate ways. He's like, look, this ain't fucking working out. You need to find your own way. He gets in the car, drives off, leaves her. And suddenly he stops again. And then she just appears. This is a weird cut in the movie. For some reason, he's driving off, he's pissed off. And then suddenly it cuts and he's at the side of the road and he's stopped. Gavin stopped in his car. And Yvonne appears beside him running. Like, hey Gavin, I forgot to tell you. Eddie gave me £30 and then hands it to him.
I forgot. Eddie gave me £30. You found the card. It's yours.
He's feeling guilty. He's like, you know, I yelled at her. Yvonne, you know, can you come back? Can you let me take your bag? Let's just go. And then they get in the car and they drive and that lovely music plays again. Say good morning, this is your lucky day. Bow. Most of your problems, they're gonna slip away. Anyway, they're driving. They're waiting for the sign that says Scotland. And then they're counting down. It's like, oh, where is it? And she's like, there. No, it's not. No, there. And they point and they see the Scotland sign and they drive past the border through England and Scotland and they're all cheering. And then suddenly they keep going. And then this big fucking red car appears with these flapping little flaps on the top. And it looks like some kind of Mad Max vehicle. And it's charging up their ass. He's like, what's going on here? And the guy's like, just taking a piss, you know, like driving past, speeding up and braking and stuff. And he's like, all right, let's race.
Okay, come on then, come on.
And suddenly they're racing, they're doing a fucking race up the arse end of backroads Scotland, and this big rig appears over the horizon, and it just appears, his fucking eyes pop out, and he just drives the car into a big ditch, him and Yvonne, and then the hit brakes, and he's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. And they get out of the car, and they try and track down a phone, get to a phone booth, but Uncle Salvatore isn't there, can't help him. So after, because they crashed into the ditch, Crazy Horse is fucked. They can't drive Crazy Horse anywhere. So they have to wait in the rain. It's pissing rain, and Yvonne's talking shite inside of the car, and Gavin's like just burning. His head is thumping. He's got to be in Glasgow tomorrow to get his inheritance. Time is running out, and Yvonne is just talking shite about fucking garbage, and he wants to bite her head off. And then suddenly, you see the lights coming. It's dark now. It's raining. And then suddenly the RAC, the motor rescue people show up to tow the car in a garage or somewhere nearby, a nearby town. Cut to a few maybe 20 minutes later, the woman driver and Yvonne are singing, and Gavin's in the middle, like head thumping. They're singing rock and rollin', riding.
Rock and rollin', riding. Along the bay. All
Somewhere there is sunshine, somewhere there is rain. And then Gavin cuts to Gavin's face, he's like, fuck this.
Somewhere there is morning town, many miles away.
And they get out, it's dark, and then she says, oh, Mr. Campbell will find you a good deal, go over there, he'll give you a place to stay for the night. Him and Yvonne go over there, knock on the guy's door, and the old man opens the door and he's like, oh, this is where my mother died, you can stay there tonight. And the two of them go up, and this cheapskate old man, and then they sleep into the bedroom that night, and they're all awkward together, but, you know, they're separated, so they're just kind of like, quietly, just like, best, you know, separate beds and stuff. For some reason, she keeps talking again, she keeps talking, and you see Gavin, he just wants to kill, and it's like big fucking bowling ball, you hear the sound of a bowling.
Let's talk in front of the situation. Us alone together, is it making you nervous?
No.
Good, because you don't have to be nervous with me, okay? Even if I wasn't totally exhausted, you wouldn't have to be nervous with me, okay?
And they go to sleep. He wakes up in the morning on the sofa on a couch for some reason. I don't know why he's on a couch, but he went to sleep on a bed and he wakes up on a couch. I don't know why. Gets some toast. Yvonne's not there, but he's in some sort of kitchen area, and he's making toast. And this song comes on the radio, and him and Yvonne comes in and sees him dancing. He's dancing, like just doing this sort of thing, and she comes up and dances with him, and they both of them dance like a little jig. Living in a shack in a one-horse town, living in a na-na-na-na-na. And it cuts to Gavin scooping shit. He's scooping pig manure. He's scooping manure because he's made a deal with this old man, the old who owns the inn. The old man's going to get Gavin to the bus station to buy a bus ticket. He's going to get him transport to a bus station. So in order to do that, Gavin has to scoop this guy's pig shit. That's what he's doing. He's scooping shit. Minivan chums up. All doors open. Old man's like, here's your van, here's your fucking transport arranged. Him and Yvonne walk over to the van. Smoke piles. It was like fucking 10 Russians or something in there. They're all like workers. And Gavin and Yvonne sneak in, cramp all in a little box van. It cuts to a tuck shop. Tuck shop bus stop. And a tuck shop is where you used to go in and buy all these wee sweets and stuff. News agents. He walks in, says, excuse me, you got a ticket? Yeah, we need a ticket to Glasgow. Me and Yvonne, we need a ticket to Glasgow. It's leaving at 1 o'clock, and she's all busy with other people. She's like giving Murdo his newspapers.
Oh, Murdo, your paper in your back is here.
Here, Murdo, is your papers. And she's sorting out the sweet selection with this lady in front. She's like, oh, we don't want fucking ice cubes, we want cola bottles. So they're dealing with all that, and Gavin's like, excuse me, I need a ticket for the bus. And then suddenly she's like, what? You mean that bus? And then Gavin's like, oh fuck, gives her money, grabs her ticket, runs it, gets in the bus. Him and Yvonne, run a bus, they're talking, he's relaxing. He thinks he's made it, he's going to Glasgow, he's going to get his parents. Suddenly he's looking around, sees a little girl, and she's puking and stuff, and he's like, oh, that's cute. Looks up to looks outside the window, sees a sign, it says the border, but he's passing it. And he's like, fuck, I fucked up. Goes to the bus driver and says, where are we? And then you see the sign outside the bus says London. They're headed back south, they're heading back to London. God knows how long he's been on this bus, but he's been heading in the opposite direction. Gets out of the bus. Him and Yvonne are pissed off. Well, Yvonne's still cheery, but he's pissed off, and he's walking down the side of the road, and he's all like, don't fucking talk to me. And they both of them sit down, they're hitchhiking and stuff, they're waiting for a ride, nobody's fucking picking him up, and he's throwing his luggage on the deck, and he's pissed off. And suddenly a little car pulls up, and it's like a little three-wheeled vehicle, and Yvonne and Gavin get in the car, and they drive off, and they're squeezed all in, but the guy's only going to like the next stop. It's like literally fucking half a mile, and he pulls off again. Oh, this is my stop, and he pulls over, and they're like, oh yeah, thank you, oh my god. They carry on. Yvonne and Gavin carry on walking until they see another road service stop sign, or stops road service with all these trucks, all these kind of dirty looking place, where the petrol station isn't open anymore. They run and go upstairs, and then they see this weird looking skinhead dude. He looks a wee bit fucking dodgy. And Yvonne tells him, by the way, this is a no smoking area. And Gavin's like, you want to cool off? Oh, sorry about that, I love smoking as well, it's I love that feeling, like when you smoke that much, and it's like It's like your lungs are wrapped in chicken wire.
I love when you've smoked that many that you feel like your lungs are wrapped in chicken wire. Or phlegm. I love phlegm. See, it's hard to get it to the right consistency, but see when I do, I can hang pictures with it, you know.
And he's like, oh, aye. By the way, you need a lift? And he's like, aye, great. So he takes him to a van, opens up the van, and there's a weird guy in the corner sleeping. And he's like, yeah, just get in, we're going to Glasgow. Him and Yvonne get in the van closes up, and then they're on the road, and suddenly they're just sitting there together with this guy sleeping in the corner. He's dressed up in this weird uniform. They don't know what's going on. And they talk to, and Gavin's pissed off at her because he feels like she opened her fucking mouth too many times. He's just pissed off. And suddenly this guy in the corner wakes up, and he's all freaking out, and he's like, hey, Anastasia, you know, daughter of stars, living in Scotland, mental. And he's going crazy, and he's jumping up on the side of the truck and jumping down, and they don't know what's going on with this guy. He sees Gavin, he's like, I like your waistcoat, you know, I'm going to take it. So don't give me any problems, alright? Just give me the goddamn waistcoat, and then they fight. And then suddenly the truck stops violently, and then the shutters open up, and then the bald skinhead takes his friend, and they're now in Glasgow. Two guys run away, nick a couple of kids' bikes, and fly away down the grassy hill, and the two boys are chasing them. My bikes, give me my bikes. And Yvonne and Gavin get out of the truck, and then suddenly Gavin is helping Yvonne out of the truck, and then she drops her bag. And in the bag is money and a wedding dress. All this money, he picks up the money, he's like, what the fuck? Right? He's like, what's this all about? You've had this fucking money the whole time? And he goes nuts.
This journey's been a fucking nightmare. I've walked so far, my feet are like puree. I haven't washed properly for days. I've got egg yolks for armpits, and you've been sent with this! Yvonne, a taxi would get me home in no time. Think of my old father!
Not mine to get!
A fiver, Yvonne! Just a fiver! Oh. You've run away with a wedding dress!
He just wants an explanation. And then suddenly the cops appear and nick him. Grab him, cops arrest him. He's like, what the fuck's going on? Suddenly it appears there, Gavin in the cop station. He's in the cop shop and he's getting interrogated by his cop, and he's like, it's a fucking weird cop, and he's just like, oh, it is a many splendid thing what you and the lady are doing. Turns out that Yvonne was running away from her marriage, and our soon-to-be husband Archie, she was escaping him, and she was wanted the whole time. And the money that she had was the wedding presents that she didn't want to give away, so she kept hold of it. She didn't want to, spend any of it because she was feeling guilty. And Gavin's not in any trouble because the two people who stole the van, the two people who let them ride with them, they were actually thieves and they stole the van. Of course, after then they stole the kids' bikes, so they were crooks. And they caught those guys, but let Gavin out, and he walks up the street and he's like, what the fuck? And his time is running out. He's going to lose inheritance. And he sees Yvonne, and he's pretending that he doesn't, he's not fussed. He's like, he sees her instantly, and he smiles at first. He's kind of like smiles, and she turns to face him, and he goes back to pretending that he's mad. She starts explaining why she didn't want to get married, because she liked the guy. She didn't love the guy, and he's like understanding. And then suddenly they get to George Street Square in Glasgow, and he starts getting all pissy, like, I'm not going to fucking make it. You're pish. You've ruined the whole thing. And she's like, I don't know what you want me to say. And he's just like, just beat it. Leave me alone. Just fuck off.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's too late, Yvonne. I'm not going to make it. It's over. Finished.
Look,
I just can't take it. Just scat. I must beat it.
And he walks away. And then he suddenly is in a daze. He's walking for a while. And then he gets to his old granddad's ice cream factory. Bellini's Ices. And he sees the sign. And he's like, oh. And then suddenly he looks over and he sees Crazy Horse. It's been repaired since it broken down and delivered to the owner, which is Jacob Salvatore, who owned the ice cream factory. And that's where Crazy Horse is. And he looks at his clock and he's like, I can make it.
I can make it. I can make it.
Boom, 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 boom. Stops the red lights. Screaming, bawling. Gets to his dad's place. Screeches on the brakes. 6 o'clock. He's made it. He's about to knock on the door. Buzzes it. Mother opens the door. Gavin's gone. Crazy Horse is gone. Cut to the bridge. One of Glasgow's bridge. And Yvonne is looking over the bridge, and because she likes to look at water. It's established earlier on in the movie that she likes looking at water. She's sort of like she's a dreamer. And Gavin's running up to her, and he's like, "You know how many fucking bridges there are over this river?"
Do you know how many bridges there are over this river?
What's your game?
He apologises to her, and he says that I want to get this right. He starts yelling at her. He says, "I don't know what to do with myself. You make me feel mental. You know, you make me feel crazy. Get me all fucked up." And she's like, "You make me feel a wee bit like that." And he says, "You feel a wee bit like that about me?"
You make me feel bad and happy and exasperated and think, I don't know what I am with myself anymore. You make me feel mental.
I'm not making you feel anything.
You make me feel everything.
And she nods. She didn't say yet. No, she nods, and he smiles. And then it cuts to them knocking on his dad's door, and then his dad's birthday party, and he introduces Yvonne to his parents, who he's now fallen in love with. And he sees Uncle Salvatore, and Salvatore offers him the money, and he's like, "No thanks, it's okay, I don't need it anymore." And the movie ends with him and Yvonne smiling at each other, and that's it. So what else do you want to know?